Hello everybody, and welcome to the Badhumanist look at Mistweaver Monk. This will be the first time I take a look at a healer here on the channel. Looking forward to that. It should be noted that again I am a healer main. I mainly play priest, but again healing is definitely my forte. So I'm looking forward to diving into the healers here. So as always, I'm going to start with the passives and the abilities, kind of walk our way through all the different abilities that the Mistweaver has, the different passives that they have, looking at things like, utility, base toolkit, things like that. Moving on from that, I'll talk about each talent, some synergy, its usefulness, how fun it is. Mistweaver here definitely seems to have talents that are pushing it in a certain direction. We'll talk about that. Show a little bit of gameplay off. Again, I'm going to basically be here in the training grounds, so I'm going to kind of start up a little endless healing and kind of see if I can't, how long I can go for a bit. After that, I can talk a little bit about stat synergy, how the different stats might affect the Mistweaver, what kind of stats they might be going for, and then sum it up with kind of overall thoughts, hope for the future. So let's start what we normally do with the passives. Teaching the Monastery. So this is Tiger Palm causes your next Blackout Kick to strike for an additional time, stacking to 3 times. It also, by the way, gives Blackout Kick a 50% chance to reset the remaining cooldown or Rising Sun Kick. Now again, with this, you're going to have multiple strikes. Each strike has 50% chance. So again, if you have a 3 stack of Tiger Palm, you actually get 4 Blackout Kicks when you use the ability. So again, you will then get 60% chance to reset the cooldown. Mystic Touch is a monk passive that all monks have. Basically, the damage that they do will weaken the target, increases their physical damage taken by 5%. This is a raid-wide thing, so again, if you are fist weaving and you're in there hitting targets, they will take increased physical damage for the entire raid or dungeon group. Mastery is Gust of Mists, so Renewing Mist, Enveloping Mist, and Vivify cause a gust of healing mists, instantly healing the primary target for a pretty decent amount. Again, it's 1,500 there. If you look at my Vivify is 1,655, so it's almost as much as the Vivify. That's pretty good for a kind of a mastery, and again, of course, that's going to be scaling with your mastery. Zen Pilgrimage, again, allows you to go back to your monk home. Vivify causes a surge of invigorating mist, healing the target for, as I mentioned, and all allies with your renewing mist active for a different amount. So the difference here is now renewing mist is going to be what you're going to be putting on targets, and then Vivify cleaves to those targets. So we have Transcendence. Of course, you can put that down and then transfer, boop, pop back to it. Tiger Palm, attack with the palm of your hand, dealing 316 damage. Again, cost no mana. Thunder Focus T is a 30-second cooldown. So it basically empowers your next spell. It can empower Enveloping Mist, Renewing Mist, Vivify, Rising Sun Kick. For Enveloping Mist, and again it gives you an instant heal on that ability by a good amount. It's almost basically 2 Vivifies. So again, very good single target heal with that Empower. You have Renewing Mist, so again the duration is increased by 10 seconds. Vivify will simply have no mana cost. Rising Sun Kick, the cooldown reduced by 9 seconds. So it's definitely one of these things where depending on what kind of healing you're doing, depends on where you're going to want to be using this, what spell that you should want to be using it with. So that's definitely something we'll talk about in a little bit. Spinning Crane Kick, again, so you spin while kicking in the air, dealing a bunch of physical damage to enemies within 8 yards. Soothing Mist, so heals a target for a decent amount over a long time though. While channeling, Enveloping Mist and Vivify may be cast instantly on the target. Each heal has a chance to cause Gust of Mist on the target. So again, while the channel doesn't maybe heal for that much, each tick has a chance to cause Gust of Mists on the target. So again, you still get some pretty decent single target healing because of Gust of Mists. Now, it should be noted that Soothing Mist, basically making Enveloping Mist and Vivify instant, especially for Enveloping Mists, has some pretty good synergy with. It's actually quicker if you want to put an Enveloping Mist on a target to Soothing Mist, Enveloping Mist, because Soothing Mist will just take a GCD, which with my current haste is like 1.22 seconds, and then you get that instant Enveloping Mist. So you basically can get Enveloping Mist on the target in less time than it would take you to cast just Enveloping Mist. So it's a bit interesting. Rising Sun Kick, this does cost 300 mana. It's, I believe, one of the only damaging abilities that you would have that costs mana. Kick upwards, dealing a bunch of physical damage. It's a cooldown reduced by haste. Ring a piece of the talent, Revival. So costs a bit of mana, 3-minute cooldown, heals all party and raid members within 40 yards for 3152, and clears them of all harmful magical poisons and diseases. I think this gives you a little bit of a buff. I hope it scales better at 120 than it does at 110. Because right now, again, like I said, it's basically a little bit less than 2 Vivifies. It is at the whole rate, so again, it can still be a lot of healing in one GCD, and it is instant. I just don't know, again, if the value it's going to have, as opposed to, again, something like a Him or a Trank or an Aura, right? So again, the instant part is definitely strong, but again, the total amount that it heals is only a small percentage of everybody's health pool. So it's probably not going to save you. It might be good, with something else, right? So maybe, for example, you use this and then Trank over it. Or again, maybe you Him and then use this, because the Him would again increase the healing done by this. And that way, while your Him is channeling, you have the kind of heal to keep you alive. So it's definitely going to be useful, again, with pairing with other cooldowns, but you're not going to probably be able to solo cooldown with just Revival. So we have Resuscitate. Again, this is the battle. This is the res. Sorry, Reawaken is your mass res. This is your individual res. We're doing Mist. Again, surrounds the target with healing mist, restoring just a bit of health over 20 seconds. Again, so it takes a long time to get that healing up. So very small ticks. If Renewing Mist heals the target past the maximum health, it will travel to another injured ally within 20 yards. Now, do remember, Renewing Mist can still proc your mastery. That's very, very important. So with the 2 charges and 8-second recharge, basically you can get about 2.5 of these out. So you can get 1, 2, 3 out, but then your third one will fall off before you can put your fourth one back on. So you'll only ever be able to really have about 2, 3 up for a little bit of period of time. Again, when you Vivify, you'll heal all those targets. Now, if you Thunder Focus T before this, it does give you 10 extra seconds. That would allow you to get up to 4 targets for some period of time, with that 10-second increased on the first Renewing Mist. This is a talent, we'll talk about that later. Provoke is your taunt. Paralysis is your in-cap, 45-second cooldown. Mantis is a talent. Life Cocoon, 2-minute cooldown. Lasts for 12 seconds, absorbs a buttload of damage, increasing all healing over time received by 50%. This is a very strong shield. Again, 2-minute cooldown, I think is the right length for this as well for the strength level. It heals for, again, almost over half my health pool right now, or absorbs for over half my health pool. And again, that increased healing received over time is so valuable as well. So you can start to see that there's a lot of value in the single target healing. Again, monks are a very efficient, pure single target healing. They don't have the passive cleave the paladin has. I mean, they do have Vivify with Renewing Mist, but they're not going to have the strength of healing both tanks, for example, like they might. It's close. Again, you can Renewing Mist both tanks basically, and then be healing one, so you're kind of getting some extra healing on one, and then some extra cleave on the second one. So it's not going to be as strong as again a beacon would be, but it's pretty close. So again, you can definitely see the monk has a lot of that toolkit for single target healing. Leg Sweep knocks down all enemies within 5 yards, stunning them for 3 seconds. Talent, Fortifying Brew, again, you look like this. Turns your skin to stone, increasing your current maximum health and reducing damage taken by 20% for 15 seconds. Nice little DR. Essence Font is an AoE, unleashes a rapid twirl of healing bolts up to 6 allies within 30 yards every second for 2.5 seconds. Each bolt heals a target for a little bit, plus an additional 230 over 8 seconds. Now, Gust of Mist will heal affected targets twice, castable while moving. What this means is if Gust of Mist procs on a target that has that dot on it, so again, you're really thinking about that 8-second dot on them, it would then heal them twice. So the value of this really is that you Essence Font for, again, 2.5 seconds, but then you have this 8-second basically, hot on everybody, and if you Vivify with Renewing Mist on those people and you happen to get some Mastery procs, you'll get double the Mastery proc. So it's kind of an interesting thing where you use this with the 12-second cooldown, and then you have this 8-second debuff on everybody, and you can then heal all those people for more with your regular heals, because again, your Mastery can be proccing there. Enveloping Mist, wraps the target in Healing Mist, healing them for a good bit over 6 seconds, and increasing healing received from your other spells by 30%. Again, it's a hot, but you don't want to think about this like a regular hot. You're not going to be spamming this on everybody. The mana cost of this is way too high to be just like spamming like a Renew or again like a Druid hot, for example. This is more about a priority target, right? There's a target that needs healing. You put this on them, it gives them a hot, and increases your healing done by other spells by 30%. So again, as I mentioned, you can actually get on a target quicker through Soothing Mist. If you Soothing Mist, you'll incur the GCD, so in my case 1.22 seconds. You then get the instant Enveloping Mist right after that. So you can put it up in 1.22 seconds. With that, it takes 1.6 seconds to cast. So yes, Soothing Mist, Enveloping Mist is a little bit quicker for a single target, of course, than just trying to Enveloping Mist on its own. Again, the mana cost is a bit higher because the mana cost is a bit higher because again, you have that 80 mana per second you're channeling of the Soothing Mist. But yeah, if you have to get a target quickly, you can Soothing Mist, Enveloping Mist, Vivify, and it's a lot of healing at one point in time. You're probably going to get some procs of your Mastery as well. So again, a lot of healing right there. Moving on, now we have Detox. Again, removes all magic, poison, and disease. Crackling Jade Lightning, channels Jade Lightning causing nature damage over 3.3 seconds to the target and sometimes knocking back melee attackers. Chi Torpedo is a talent, again normally you would have roll. Chi Burst is a talent, Blackout Kick, it costs no mana. Kick with a blast of Chi energy dealing a bunch of physical damage. 2.5 second cooldown, reduced by haste. Alright, now let's shift into our talents. Alright, 15 row. Mist Wrap increases Enveloping Mist duration by 1 second and its healing bonus by 10 seconds. So again, if I take this, you will see again that this is now a 7 second. The amount of healing done also increases because you get more ticks. And it's now 40%. So again, really, really strong single target, really, really strong kind of tank healing, priority target healing. This is not, again, a spam this on everybody. This is a priority target. This person needs healing right now. Put this on them, get a Vivify on them, maybe even Soothing Mist them, again, like I mentioned before. So that helps that single target. Now, Chi and Chi Burst are both kind of more of an AoE. Chi Wave's a bit weaker, in my opinion. It's 50 second cooldown, but again, the healing it does is relatively weak. It doesn't cost any mana, though. So again, every 15 seconds, you're just going to basically be using it. Kind of free damage, free healing in that regard. And it's I don't want to say it's smart, but it's just going to basically jump around and do damage and healing to more targets. Now, from a healing perspective, it's going to be better again in that raid situation when you have one enemy and more allies. And a Mythic Plus, you might actually get a decent bit of damage out of it, which again, its damage is very poor, but you might be getting more damage and healing out of it, which again, might not be your intended desire there. Chi Burst, on the other hand, has a small cast time, 30 second cooldown, so it can double the cooldown, but again, does a lot more damage and a lot more healing to everybody. But again, it is more of a skilled ability here. So again, you'll see here with Chi Burst, again, you small little cast, and then again, you can see that little line that gets drawn. Anybody in that kind of little window there gets healed by it. Alright, on the 30 row, again, we have the ability to reduce roll by 5 seconds and increases maximum number of charges by 1. You have Chi Torpedo or Tiger's Lust. Tiger's Lust increases the friendly target's movement speed by 70%. It can be yourself, though. There's a cooldown. So again, just all different kind of movement speeds here. Again, I have chosen Chi Torpedo, but again, you can take any of them that you would wish. 45 row. This is kind of a mana row here. So you have life cycles. Enveloping Mist reduces the mana cost of your next Vivify by 25%, and Vivify increases the mana cost of your next Enveloping Mist by 25%. So again, if you have this idea of Soothing Mist, Enveloping Mist, Vivify, and you then kind of going back and forth between your Enveloping Mist and Vivify, this really helps out. So again, for single target healing, life cycles is probably going to be a very good mana talent. Again, for AoE, not as much. You'll be Vivifying a lot more, not maybe as many Enveloping Mists. You will still be using Enveloping Mist, of course, but again, it's just very expensive if you're not really using it on priority targets. Whereas Vivify is a little bit cheaper and probably going to be what you're going to be not spamming per se, but again, definitely going to be using it far more frequently. And so in that regard, you're not going to be getting as much mana savings because you have to Enveloping Mist to get the mana cost reduction on Vivify. Next we have Spirit of the Crane. This is kind of like half, if you will, of the Fist Weaving. So, Teaching of the Monastery causes each additional Blackout Kick to restore 0.65 mana. Now, it's not just Blackout Kick, but Teaching of the Monastery. So, basically, for hitting, you hit Tiger Palm first, and then Blackout Kick. So, if you Tiger Palm once, you'll get 0.65 mana. If you use Tiger Palm twice, you'll get 1.3% mana back. And if you do it 3 times, the maximum number of stacks, you get 1.95% of your mana back. Now again, both those abilities, Tiger Palm and Black Oak Kick, are free. It's just a GCD cost. So using basically 4 GCDs to get back 2% of your mana is a lot. Now it's somewhat even with, for example, like the mana back on the shields for Disc Priest, right? So again, Disc Priest, I believe, is now back down to 0.5% of mana per shield. So again, that's a case where, again, 4 GCDs, 4 shields give you 2% mana back. But it's kind of built in, right? When you're shielding with the Disc Priest, you're still doing healing, whereas this, you're doing damage. So again, it's one of those things where it's a little bit of a difference. But again, it is mana back. Again, you will probably have some free GCDs in some times, and if you do, you can be using them doing damage, which you should be doing anyway. This is going to reward you with some mana back on that. Mana Tease, the last one here, 1.5 minute cooldown, reduces the mana cost of your spells by 50% for 12 seconds. I don't know. I think it should be a little bit longer of a duration. I don't know if 0.5% is long enough. If this was basically free for even 8 seconds, that would actually be great. But honestly, Monk's a relatively efficient class. I wasn't really having any mana issues when I was going through my endless runs for the most part. There's always enough time in between to kind of get a decent amount of mana back. So again, it's one of those things where your most expensive things are Enveloping Mist. So yeah, maybe you could Mana Tea and then get some spam out on Enveloping Mist. That could be very powerful. Again, it only costs about 500 mana then, at my level, of course, which again, it would be less than even a Renewing Mist. So yeah, there's probably some synergy there with, again, this kind of like big healing window for really efficient. So it's really, again, this is definitely gonna be the one you're gonna take for if you're not fist weaving, if you're standing back AoE healing, right? You're not tank healing, you're AoE healing, and you're not trying to fist weave. Mana Tea is gonna be your go-to, right? The other two just don't make as much sense as Mana Tea does, and for that kind of environment where you are kind of raid healing, it is your raid heals, like in like Essence Font, that are a bit more expensive. Again, Soothing Mist as well. So again, yeah, this is probably what you want to go with. 60 row. Tiger Tail Sweep. This is basically just increases the range of leg sweep and reduces the cooldown by 10 seconds. Song of Chi-Ji. Again, this basically is a disorient, so you create a cloud of hypnotic mist. I'm going to show this off here. There we go. Right. Disorients anything in its path. And then Ring of Peace, I already kind of showed you. Or actually I haven't yet, so I will show you that once this cooldown, of course, ends. But we all know Ring of Peace, right? Forms a Ring of Peace at the target, 5 seconds. If they try to enter, they'll be ejected from the ring, so you can put this around a target, priority target to kind of keep them from taking any damage, which is quite nice. 75 row, this is kind of like self-survival here, so you have Healing Elixir. So again, this actually heals you for 50% of your maximum health. Of course, they could actually, match up with Fortifying Brew for a little bit extra healing, of course. So there's Ring of Peace. Now, right, there's Ring of Peace. Healers are going to like this. Again, I'm a healer, like I mentioned, and I know that this is the only talent on the road that will show about our healing meter. That might be some influence for some healers. Again, it's a nice, kind of very readily available self-heal. Very good Mythic Plus. Again, very good for, again, it's also free. So again, instead of kind of, like healing yourself, you can use this to kind of heal you. So yeah, definitely going to have a lot of utility. The other two are more of longer cooldowns that do damage reduction. So Diffuse Magic is a magic damage reduction. Transfers all the currently active harmful magical effects on you back to the original caster if possible. That can be very useful in some situations. So Diffuse Magic, definitely a very good magic cooldown. Dampening Harm is more, again, of an all damage reduction. So again, if there happens to be anything where you have to kind of soak, or it's kind of a big AoE damage, you want to kind of absorb some of that to reduce the healing required. This, of course, is what you would want. 2-minute cooldown. So again, it's kind of your choice. Do you want to reduce damage every 2 minutes? Do you want to kind of absorb and reflect back in some ways? Magic damage every 1.5, or do you want to kind of just be able to passively heal yourself all the time? I do think Healing Elixir is going to be taken the most. There might be a fight or two where these have good use. Healing Elixir, again, it's going to show up in healing meters. It's nice, easy, passive healing for you. Makes sense for a healer. 90 row, Summon Jade Serpent Statue. So again, summon the Jade Serpent Statue at a target location. When you channel Soothing Mist, the statue will begin to channel Soothing Mist on your target, healing for 252. I believe this can proc Mastery. So again, you basically get 2 extra chances for Mastery there on its channel. So again, it's very similar to your own Soothing Mist. This says this is giving you the healing per tick, right? And because it's basically endless, the channel, there's no like a duration. It's just basically once you start to channel Soothing Mist, the statue will also begin to channel Soothing Mist on your target. And again, if you change your target, it will change its target. So again, very good for that kind of individual target. If you're trying to like triage, like you gotta heal, you gotta heal, you gotta heal, you gotta heal, and you're kind of like, you know, vivifying across. This could be very valuable for, again, if you're changing your Soothing Mist around between multiple targets. Refreshing Jade Wind, this to me almost kind of seems like the Fist Weaving talent in this row, if you ask me. Because again, I see Fist Weaving in a case where you are kind of more AoE healing than tank healing, because again, you're not going to have as many open GCDs probably tank healing right now, it seems, in a raid environment. So in that regard, you're already in melee for Fist Weaving, and again, you hit the button and you can have like a little tiny tick heal around you. Again, you can see not a lot of healing being done by it, but again, it's relatively cheap on mana, 7.3 second cooldown. I do think the healing needs to get buffed a little bit here, but again, it's AoE, so again, that healing on myself isn't great, but multiply that by, again, what, 7 targets, I think, or 6 allies, so again, 7 targets total. Yeah, I mean, not a bad heal. I do think, though, that it does need a little bit of a buff of the healing amount. It might scale better at a higher level. We'll have to wait and see. But that seems to me like the talent that makes sense for Fist Weaving because you're kind of melee. Last one here is Invoke Chi-Ji. So again, this just summons an effigy of Chi-Ji. Red Crane heals nearby allies with Crane Heal for a bit. It's not a bad amount for healing, and again, it's kind of free healing, 3-minute cooldown. So again, this has the same amount of cooldown as Revival. A little bit of a different kind of heal. It's more again of a kind of like a you get a heal, but again it's kind of free and passive. Again, it is a smart heal, so Chi-Ji's going to be healing the right targets. Targets actually need healing, of course. Again, we'll have to kind of wait to see how the scaling turns out on this. As a whole, I'm a bit underwhelmed by the 3-minute cooldowns on Mistweaver, in all honesty. That being said, they don't really need them. Their kind of base toolkit is really, really strong. Again, in a lot of the raid testing, Mistweavers do really, really well in HPS. They're very, very strong in that regard. But they don't really bring much in terms of that extra kind of cooldown or utility. The cooldowns are relatively weak. I think Life Cocoon's their strongest thing that they bring, utility-wise. And it is strong, that's for sure, but that's really about it. They just have really good healing, right? They're actual kind of, they're very efficient, very good AoE, or can be very good AoE, can be very good single target healing. That's really what they're bringing. Last row, Focus Thunder. You now basically empower the next 2 spells, not just 1. Upwelling, so for every 6 seconds Essence Font spends off cooldown, your next Essence Font may be channeled for 1 additional second. The duration of Essence Font's heal over time is increased by 4 seconds. So if I take this down, so again, Essence Font right now channeled for 2.5 seconds. If I go ahead and take this, you'll start to see that this goes up. So for every 6 seconds, I gain a second. Right, so after 6 seconds, it's 3.5, and it'll keep going up. I believe it goes up to about 4 point something. Then currently it just stops. Yeah, so it stops there right at 4.9 seconds. So again, that's it's actually over, 2 seconds, about 2.4 seconds extra being added on to that. So again, it does eventually stop. It doesn't kind of go forever, but it also increases the hot by 4 seconds. That's important because now the hot lasts for 12 seconds, and the cooldown is 12 seconds. The cooldown is 12 seconds. So you'll channel this for 5 seconds, or you can channel for even less if you want to, but that dot on there will last for the whole 12 seconds. So now you have that dot of Essence Font on all targets at all times. Or you can basically kind of keep it up all the time, I should say. And again, that's important because Gust of Mist will then heal affected targets twice. So you can get that extra mastery bonus on all those targets because the dot's on there for longer. So again, that's nice in that regard. It gives you 4 extra seconds of that extra AoE kind of healing ability. The last one is Rising Mist. This is your kind of Fist Weaving talent here with Spirit of the Crane. So Rising Sun Kick heals all allies with your Renewing Mist, Enveloping Mist, or Essence Font for just a little bit. but increases those effects by 2 seconds. That's the more valuable thing here, is that Rising Sun Kick heals all allies with your Renewing Mist, Enveloping Mist, or Essence Font for 2 seconds. So again, you get longer time on Renewing Mist for your Vivify Cleaves, you get longer time on your Enveloping Mist for that extra healing bonus, and you get that extra 2 seconds on your Essence Font Ticks Hot, which again allows for that double mastery. So that really is the benefit here. So again, you can definitely see, like I said, Rising Mist, Fist Weaving is meant for kind of AoE healing, where again you're kind of increasing the duration of those passive kind of things with this. Now it should be mentioned that again, if you were Fist Weaving, and I'm going to talk about Thunder Focus T now, if you are Fist Weaving, Rising Sun Kick is probably what you want to use it on, because that makes it reduces the cooldown by 9 seconds. It allows you to basically use 2 Rising Sun Kicks kind of back to back. That would of course then allow you to extend for 4 seconds very quickly. Now, the Vivify no mana cost, I'll be honest, I'm really kind of at a loss for when that's going to be valuable. And here's why. Normally you would want to use it on Vivify, because again, Vivify healing with all that cleave was a lot of healing, and making it free is good. Basically, every 30 seconds you got a free Vivify. With Renewing Mist on here now, and increasing the duration of Renewing Mist by 10 seconds, that's pretty valuable. That basically empowers Vivify in that regard, because again, now you have more Renewing Mist out on targets for longer. So yeah, so even in the case where you're kind of AoE healing, I'm not sure that you wouldn't want to be using this with Renewing Mist and not Vivify. Again, I could be wrong. Again, that no mana cost is of course important, but again, saving 700 mana when I have 20,000, again, it's going to of course scale differently at 120. But at 110 now, saving 700 mana every 30 seconds, I just don't know. I just don't know if that's the best value per se. Whereas getting that extra Renewing Mist and then having my Vivify be healing 1 extra target for that extra 1,000 with the chance again of proccing more masteries, that I think is probably the better option here. Now, Enveloping Mist, of course, you're going to be using this for if you're single target healing. So again, if you're single target healing, you're going to want to be using Thunder Focus T with Enveloping Mist to get that big immediate heal on them, plus that extra kind of, again, their healing bonus to them afterwards. Okay, so let's kind of take a look here. So let me kind of change these talents around a little bit. Yeah, let's go with this. Alright, so currently I actually have Thunder Focus Team macro together with Renewing Mists. Again, that's somewhat intentional here. Yeah, this is fine. Let's just go with this. Alright, so let's get a little bit of gameplay in here now. I'm going to start up an Endless Healing. And just kind of show you a bit of how the healing here might go. Now, by no means was it going to be perfect. Again, I'm not a monk, but again, this should give you a decent idea for how the monk's going to play. So I'm putting Renewing Mist again out on my targets that I want to heal. I have some free GCD, so I'm going to be kind of throwing in some damage here. So again, Soothing Mist, Enveloping, Vivify, full heal. So again, you can kind of see that value there. Now, you definitely want to keep Renewing Mist on charge. Again, you want to kind of keep it there, keep it going, keep it rolling. Now again, because I don't have Rising Mist, I'm not going to really be wanting to use Rising Sun Kick because it does cost mana. But as you can see, I'm back to full mana again. So there's a lot of good efficiency, I think, here with... let me switch this around. Cool. But yeah, I do think that in this kind of small group environment, Monks does pretty good. Again, the utility they bring is a bit lacking. They have decent survivability. Again, you can kind of see the stun there. Alright, let's do these out. Alright, let's get some cheesy going. Spell that. But yeah. There's my little Chi going around, just healing everybody. Again, lasts for a really good long time. So again, I do really like that cooldown. It's again, the healing's a bit underwhelming, but again, it lasts long enough to, again, you actually kind of feel it happening. And again, the animation's kind of cool, I would say. But in a raid environment, again, we'll have to kind of see the amount of healing that it does. Again, you can see the Renewing Mist will jump around from target to target if, again, you have it full. Again, let's kind of get some free jumps going around. You got some free healing, free GCDs here. But yeah, so it doesn't really seem to have any kind of struggles like that I've noticed. Even with again, with a lot of AoE damage, you have the kind of tools you need. You do have revival. Again, you have the ability to Chi Wave like what I've talented here. Life Cocoon's there to save someone if you need them to. Again, and the heals feel strong, and again, they feel strong because of Gust of Mist, your mastery here. You can kind of really see here, Vivify heal, but then again, you get that extra heal with Gust, and again, that I think really makes a difference here. We're going to have some AoE damage going here in a second. Let's get some Essence Fonts going. But again, it's really about that extra proc of Gust and Mist with the Essence Font that really helps their AoE healing out. Like, Essence Font itself doesn't do much healing, but that Mastery really, again, helps out there a lot. And that is one thing I would say, is that the Mastery is a really cool and interesting healing Mastery. Because it does a good job with either kind of healing. Whether you're trying to tank heal or single target heal or AoE heal, because of how they've baked in the mastery into the different spells and abilities, it just helps everything, right? Whatever you're trying to do, if you go in that direction, the mastery is there to kind of give you extra value, right? It's again, basically like mana-free extra healing, which again makes the monk, again, think very, very, very efficient at their healing here. So again, I can get Essence Fonts out. Again, get some Soothing Mist, Vivifies to kind of get people up. Get that going. Like I said, you can really Essence Font and get that on everybody. And then again, you can even kind of like cancel it a bit early, because again, all that really matters here is you get that duration on there. Let's get some damage into this guy. But yeah, so you get the idea here. Again, a little bit of fist weaving there. The mobility is really good. Again, you can cast a lot of abilities that you want. Shield there. On the move, again, involving Essence Font, for example, there can be course cast on the move. Soothing Mist here as well. So yeah, so again, good mobility as a healer. Again, you have Vivify, of course, you can cast. Everything else is pretty much is instant. Enveloping Mist, of course, is to cast as well. But again, with Soothing Mist, you can come instant. There we go. So again, you get that nice free Vivifies and Enveloping Mist. Alright, let's talk about stats here real quickly. So I've already talked about Mastery. I do think that Mastery, again, is going to be very, very powerful here. Again, you're probably not going to see this high of a Mastery level at 120. Stats will tend to be squished a bit at 120, we're finding. Where you're not even going to be at this level at the end of the first tier, it seems like. But, again, Mastery definitely is going to have a good bit of value here. And so again, that extra kind of heal I think is really, really, really nice. So again, increasing that mastery definitely is going to help increase your overall value and synergy with your other heals, as well as, of course, your mana, because again, you're basically getting a free heal. And it's a pretty, like I said, decent heal. Versatility, again, flat damage and healing increase, again, that's always nice. Because again, if you increase your healing down by a flat amount, that then scales any kind of multipliers that we might have. So again, it helps scale with things like Enveloping Mist, things like that. Haste, haste okay. Again, obviously you have the cast time Vivify, you have your channels and such. You have a couple of cooldowns that are reduced by haste, of course. Haste has always been those weird stats for healers, and I think it's really hard to value haste for healers because it depends on your mana, right? It's one of those things where I tend to like a bit more haste, and I think a lot of guys and a lot of other people who talk about healing might advocate for. Primarily because even though I'm aware that I might run out of mana quicker, I don't have to be healing every GCD, right? There's DPS GCDs that I can use. I can do other things, and I'd rather have that ability to react quickly to something, and again, to be able to have that throughput when I want it. And haste, of course, has a direct effect on throughput. So as long as you can be mana efficient and not go haste is helpful. Now crit, there's no direct kind of crit synergies that I could really find in the Mistweaver. Again, of course, your heals critting are always nice, but, and I've mentioned this before, without any kind of real crit modifiers or crit kind of like synergies or connections to the spec, crit's a kind of different version of versatility, right? It's really going to depend on how they scale. And with secondary stats squished a bit and not being able to get as much secondary stat as we have in Legion, if the scaling of versatility in crit doesn't become to the point to where crit scales just so much faster than versatility does, you might be going like mastery verse haste. You have to kind of wait and see. I'm not going to kind of predict any of that kind of stuff, of course, but I just don't really see much of a catch with crit. Now again, for tank healing, crit has some value, but again, you have to worry about overhealing with crit. And so it really is one of those things that without any kind of the catch that says, oh, crit does this or crit does that, I think you might be better off stacking things like mastery, haste, and verse over crit, because again, they don't have the overheal effect, and they don't have the kind of like randomness that crit has, right? Versatility increases all your healing all the time. Mastery increases your healing off your gusts all the time, and again, haste increases their output all the time. So I prefer those kind of things in specs that don't have that kind of crit synergies like some of the specs have. But yeah. So to wrap up here, overall thoughts. I do think that Mistweaver has a lot of interesting kind of toolkit. It definitely feels fine and complete. I don't see any problems with it. I don't think that it's going to be struggling in either kind of raid or dungeon healing. I do worry about their cooldowns, though. I think both Revival and, again, even if you talent into something like GG, I just don't know how strong they are, right? Compared to what we've been seeing on with some of the other healers. And when I take a look at the other healers, I'll be thinking about that in comparison. I'm not sure the real value of those 3-minute cooldowns. Again, utility-wise, with what they bring, if you're not fist weaving, you're not really bringing much utility. You're not really bringing any kind of raid cooldowns that are, like I said, that valuable. GG and Revival both are just extra HPS healing, but again, they're not going to save your raid. Again, you're going to still want those damage reduction cooldowns like Barrier, like Spirit Link Totem, like Aura, right? Those kind of things are going to be far more valuable to bring than what the Monk brings. In Mythic Plus, when you're by yourself, I think that, again, those things are going to have value, and I think that in Mythic Plus, Mistweaver should be fine. They have a decent toolkit. They can do damage. Their damage isn't great. They can do damage. You can definitely fist weave in there, and you're probably wanting to. It's going to just come down to their ability to do both, right? Their ability to kind of do damage while doing healing, and again, you're definitely going to get some with that fist weaving. It seems like the fist weaving does a better job of just kind of empowering your AoE healing by increasing the duration of those kind of like extra effects than it does really helping with direct healing. It's also mana efficient, of course, which is very nice, but again, Mythic Plus you can drink. So Mythic Plus you tend not to care too much about mana efficiency. You care more about throughput. And so again, I see fist weaving as something that is better for raid AoE healing. I just don't know if they have the toolkit to be really good in that arena. They seem to me to be better off at this kind of like tank healing, passive cleave, heal for the raid, and even there you might prefer a paladin over them. But if your raid doesn't have a paladin and you have a monk instead, that could be fine. You kind of substitute the paladin for the monk, but I worry about in the high-end mythic rating what they're going to bring. Those are my thoughts. Again, I really do think that a buff to their 3-minute cooldowns as far as the healing done would be okay. And again, I do think that would do a lot to kind of help reinforce them as someone who you want to bring. And if Revival was as strong as Revival once was, and it basically was a cooldown on its own, where big damage, Revival, everyone's back to full health, other healers save all that mana, great. But right now, Revival's like, okay, we revivaled, everyone's still at 40% health. We need another cooldown. So, I'll have to kind of wait and see. If you like the video, give me a like. If you dislike the video, give me a dislike. If you think I'm wrong, if you think that, again, that Mistweaver might be stronger or weaker than I think it might be, let me know in the comments below. If you want to see more videos like this, go ahead and subscribe. The final monk class, so again, the Windwalker monk will be next. Next class, I'm not quite sure what's going to happen. It's probably going to be either Paladin or Druid next. We'll have to kind of wait and see. But that's my thoughts going forward. So thank you very much for watching, and I hope to see you in my future videos.